Alright guys, we are on our second list for the top 10 comics of the year, and we did Marvel. If you didn't check that out, go check that out. I was very happy with that video. But now we're going to do top 10 DC comics of 2023. And this year has been pretty good. I have a big list. I have a lot of honorable mentions that I couldn't even list because they didn't fit into my top 10. So before I do get to my top 10, I would like to mention those. So I'm going to start off with honorable mentions being Teen Titan World Finest. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this. I think it's a nice start to the World's Finest, though I think this is just a mini versus Batman Superman World Finest is ongoing, but I really do enjoy it. I think the overall flow of it isn't as good as Batman and Superman. That was my major issue, but the character work is really fun, and I love the Teen Titans just being, well, teenagers trying to figure out life. Another one I really enjoyed was City Boy. Now, I really did enjoy this one. It almost made my top 10, was right on the cusp of it, but I couldn't quite put it there because there were other series I enjoyed more. But this is a lot of fun. It's a brand new character called City Boy, and his power is pretty unique. I'll get more into it when I do my top 8 Dawn of DC titles you should check out in the first year. But it was pretty fun. Another one is Green Lantern. This was a nice surprise. Jeremy Adams, the creator or writer of the last Flash series, decided to jump on Green Lantern and pretty much making him interesting again. It's been years since I enjoyed a Green Lantern title, so I'm glad to say this is enjoyable. And while I don't think it's great or groundbreaking, it's just nice, laid-back, fun time. Another title is Superman. Superman pretty much getting reborn into a brand new series starting with issue 1, and it is pretty solid. It is very lighthearted, and I just really am enjoying it. The only reason it's not in my top 10 is because I didn't feel it made an impact, and I pretty much just been steadily enjoying the series. But overall, it's a nice read. And another one I enjoyed is Wonder Woman. Now, this is still early in its creation, so it's still building up its story, but I really did enjoy the first 3 issues. I think it lays it out pretty good of who Wonder Woman is in this series. Kind of an icon, but also kind of this mystical figure, and also a badass. I really just enjoy this series for being different. And my last series I'm going to put on here is Riddler Year 1. This is actually written by Paul Dino, the guy who played the Riddler from the movie, and surprisingly, it is really good. The dialogue is fresh and feels like actual humans talking to each other, and the overall story is pretty solid. It does get confusing at points, and there's a whole issue that has really no dialogue per se, but overall, I really do enjoy this mini, and I think it's something different that you don't usually see. Plus, an actor writing and making a good comic, that's pretty rare. Alright, now that we're done with the honorable mentions, and that took almost 2 minutes, let's talk about my number 10, which is Superman Lost. Superman Lost feels like a strange comic, but also one that I just can't stop reading. It's basically Superman stuck in space, but also dealing with PTSD. See, in this comic, him and the Justice League are trying to stop like this black hole-like force, and eventually it consumes Clark, and he's gone, but comes back not long after that. But in his world, in his time, when he got sucked in, he's been gone for years, decades, and he just kind of has to readjust his life. With Lois as his main supporter, he's trying to fix his life while we go back in time to tell us what this poor man has suffered through. Things like isolation, planets dying, him not being able to do a damn thing, and betrayals left and right. The art is always great, and while some of the issues are stronger than others, I am always intrigued to know where we're going next in this 10-issue mini. It doesn't quite wrap up this year, but so far with the 8 issues that I read, I really enjoyed this one. My number 9 is Batman by Chip. Now, it's not as high as last year because I really liked Failsafe. I thought it was super fun, it was epic, it was Terminator meets Batman, and it was great. But the next arc would have Batman traveling to an alternate universe. So after the highly successful Spider-Verse, we gotta have our main man Bruce do the same, right? Because DC and Marvel always copy each other in some ways. And so he does. But it still looks magnificent. See, that's the big thing for me, is that the art is wonderful. Like, Chip is fun at writing the character. I like his Bruce, but the main star is this fantastic art and fights. We also get a great tribute issue that showcases Batman through the many years and many different medias that I absolutely loved. One of my favorite Batman issues of all time, if I'm being honest. On top of all of that, we do get the alter ego of Batman returning from Morris's run. So the weak spot is definitely Gotham War, which is written by him and Tini Howard, and it's pretty much a shit show of a story. If you're asking me, I did not like it, but you could just skip that if I'm gonna be honest. It really didn't do much other than the fact that Bruce goes deeper into this alter ego. Other than that, you could skip it, and the rest has been from good to great, in my opinion. So number 8 is Sandman Universe, Nightmare Country Glass House, or The Glass House. This is a long title, so just call it Nightmare Country The Glass House. This is twisted, it's dark, and Sandman Universe is always a good time in my opinion, and The Glass House is a great follow-up to last year's Knockout by Tynion. This basically gives us a character who's going through it, trying to advance his career, but the demons and those sick fucks out there, they know this and they're trying to manipulate him because they know what he wants, using his wants for their advantage. And while this is all happening, we have our favorite serial killer returning to get the job done. It's weird, it's fun, it's disgusting, but it's always a pleasure to read. It's not quite done at the time of this video, still missing one issue, but what I read so far, I am absolutely loving, and I would just like this to continue, or at least give us one more mini after this series. Number 7 is Batman Superman World's Finest. Now, this remained a strong title through 2023. While Boy Thunder is still my favorite part of this series, we did get a mix of new villains this time around. I always enjoy Dan More's excellent art. I mean, his art is some of the best in the business, if not my favorite, at least top 5. And the relationship between Bruce and Superman is still, you heard that? Great. The flashback is really fun. It's one of my favorite mini adventures, just a 2-part arc, but it worked really well. And Mark Waid showcases his talent best though when he returns to Kingdom Come, his own universe. He's returning to them with these characters. I'm really eager to see how this newest arc builds, but the first issue when they returned was excellent. World Finest just remains one of those simply charming series that I always smile when I'm reading. Alright, number 6, we're going to bring in Green Lantern War Journal. Now, I'll let you on a little secret. John is one of my least favorite Lanterns. I know, how could that be? It's just that I never cared much about his adventures, and the military stoic characters just usually don't do much for me. Don't worry though, Hal is also not one of my favorite characters either on the Green Lantern Corps. However, Philip Johnson Kennedy masterfully crafts an emotional story in the first 2 issues alone, giving us a John who just wants to be left alone to take care of his sick mother. And when a new villain pops up wanting to harm him, John just does not take that lightly. This is probably the most badass version of John to ever come out, in my opinion. It has the emotional stakes, it has the kick-ass moments. This series is, to me, one of the biggest surprises I've ever read for DC, because I do not like this character pretty much at all, and I was fully invested in by the end. This is a 100%. I can't wait for the next issue. The first 2 issues I read were fantastic. Number 5 is Dead Boy Detectives. Again, this isn't part of the Sandman universe, and I love Sandman universe because we get these really weird stories, but I'm a horror fanboy by heart. So if you don't know that, I love horror. So this series, bringing back the 2 ghost detectives and having them try to figure out how this biting head monster is killing off their friends and regular people while this band of misfits comes together is a ton of fun. I got very much like It vibes, which, you know, It is my favorite book of all time, so it was really nice to see that in comic form. It's a very bloody but lots of fun chemistry between the cast, and it's also, like I said, besides just being fun, it is funny at times, which is really nice. These characters pretty much just say whatever they want, and they're kids, which is really cool. It has a nice sense of mystery that makes this a nice little gem between all those superhero comics on my list. So check this out if you enjoy the genre of horror, but also if you want something a little different, and also getting to see all these characters from different time periods kind of come together, but still being children-like mentality. Number 4 is Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow, and this mini was a great showcase for both artist and writer. This gets to explore Connor's path in finding himself and his place in the Superman family. See, what he's doing is he's trying to find his place, so he goes into space. It's like a space adventure to help different species while also facing off against another one who feels out of place, and it really works well on the themes of this series. The part that works with these themes is because these two characters come from the same place, but you know that their destination is going to be very different, making them both compelling characters in the end. The art is fantastic, with very much anime-like fights that I could not get enough of, and this is a quick mini, which also makes it very much worth reading if you're a fan of the character. To me, it's been a while since we got a Connor-centric comic, and this one did wonders for the character, so this is very high on my list of comics you should be checking out this year from DC. And number 3 is Action Comics. So Philip Kennedy Johnson finishes up his very long but very good tenure on Superman Action Comics. Action Comics returns to Earth this year, and it's still as thrilling as it was on Warworld, giving us multiple views from Clark Kent to John to the new family member kids from Warworld to Supergirl to Lois. All the family gets to shine, and they working together, or when they split up and have to do it themselves, we still get compelling stories, with Clark trying his best to always save people, but dealing with Cyborg again, and also eventually a new villain, aka a rich CEO who basically has a cult and they know who Superman's weakness is. You get plenty of great fights. There's family moments. I'm going to be very sad when Philip leaves later on this month, but I gotta say that he's leaving on a high note, and he delivered some of the best Superman content in the last few years. Number 2 is Green Arrow. I knew that we would get something special when I saw the covers to this comic, but I am so glad to report that Green Arrow not only brings new fans, but has a nice throwback to all the fans who love this character for years. There's plenty of great moments with Green Arrow himself, but also his entire extended family, from Roy to Diana to Mia and so on. I also really love the art. There's so many cool world changes because they go through like these different worlds, or Oliver does, and so many different styles, and while Oliver's going through all these, he has to keep positive, which makes it a really fun read while also reliving some of his old storylines and visiting old characters. Just overall, I know I keep talking about like revisiting, so this is a big one for fans, I think, of Green Arrow. But even if you never read Green Arrow, I still think it's an enjoyable read that you should check out. But fans of Green Arrow, this is a nice treat I think we all deserved after years of not having our favorite Archer back. Alright, number 1 is Peacemaker Tries Hard. So this is one of the funniest comics I've read all year, or maybe ever if I'm being honest. Peacemaker had a massively successful TV show that a lot of people loved, but that doesn't always translate to the comic world. It just doesn't. That's how it goes. Luckily, Kyle Starks not only translates well, but this might be the funniest Peacemaker we've ever got. A shit out of luck Peacemaker trying to do good, kills the wrong people, has to deal with a talking gorilla, betrayal around every corner, lots and lots and lots of funny moments, and a barbecue because, well, come on. If you like violence, if you want laugh out loud comedy, and if you love a stupid as fuck but charming main lead, you should check out Peacemaker Tries Hard. It's funny, it's violent, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite comics of the entire year, not just DC, but it is my number 1 for DC Comics of 2023. And that, my friends, wraps up my list. Now, this year, to me, was very hard. I had to really think what my top 10 were, because as you heard, I had a lot of honorable mentions. And I think this year, you know, some of them can be changed in order from my feelings of, you know, which one's better than others. But honestly, all 10 of these are worth reading, is what I'm trying to say. But what about you guys? There's a lot of comics that came out, some I didn't read. What did you think? Do you think there's a comic that you love this year that deserves to be on my top 10? If you did, list it below, or just list your top 3, your top 5, or your top 10 DC Comics of 2023. I hope to see you guys back. My next one is going to be creator owned, but I got a couple little nice videos in between all that I think you guys will enjoy. And I will be doing a special video this year at the end of the year of the most anticipated comics that I have for 2024 with my buddy Jimmy. So take a look at that when that comes out. And I hope you guys all enjoy. Hit that like button if you loved it. Hit the subscribe button if you love me even more. And everybody, go read some comics and just have a wonderful laid back day.